Many people have alleged that there is a crop circle conspiracy. The truth of the matter seems to be this: that National Geographic Television and the mainstream media in general have often collaborated with crop circle hoaxers and people who claim to be crop circle hoaxers in order to make TV shows. These hoaxers are claiming that genuine crop circles have been made by members of Team Satan. Now, whether you believe the footage is real or not, one cannot deny that thousands of people who have visited crop circles have all seen military helicopters flying and hovering over the crop circles. If all these crop circles and UFOs were faked, then why on earth would Her Majesty's Armed Forces be so interested in these faked designs? This is another aspect to the crop circle conspiracy. No matter which way you look at it, the luminous balls of light filmed in the upper atmosphere by NASA astronauts aboard the space shuttle, the UFOs which we see flying around the skies above cities such as New York and Mexico City, and the small luminous spherical balls of light which we see making the crop circles, all seem to be very, very similar. Can every single one of these pieces of footage be fake? Are we to say that NASA astronauts are faking footage? No. What we're dealing with is an invasion of small spherical UFOs, which I believe are probes from an intelligent race who are investigating us and our planet. An intelligent race who I believe are communicating with us using sacred geometric symbolism.
High above the Earth, grouped together with no explanation. These clips show what's being described as swarms of UFOs. Earlier this year in Seoul in South Korea, a crowd gathers to stare up beyond the skyscrapers into the sky. A group of objects hover above the center of the city for a few seconds, then they disappear. In Mexico 3 years earlier, a very similar sight. Clearer this time, the group of white objects are baffling the people below.
Mira las esferas, son un chorro. Aquí arriba, ¿ya las viste? Qué maravilla, ¿verdad?
Zooming in still closer, we find that there are even smaller groupings. Over New York City last year, what looks at first like the vapor trails of aeroplanes. But closer inspection reveals there are dozens of apparent objects, seemingly arranged in some sort of formation. Just before the footage comes to an end, one of the objects appears to come much closer.
talking about this a few years ago was extremely dangerous. Now that we have YouTube and more social networking devices, such as even Rupert's MySpace, this is really getting out in such a way that they can't control it. They must just be really, if you could use the expression, shitting themselves over this, because they can't control people now talking about the elephant in the room, what is so obvious to all of us.
Now, in 2006, my estate here in the south of France was chemtrailed. And chemtrails are a very, very strange phenomenon. You have very large planes, about the size of large passenger jets. Sometimes they look very obviously like military planes that have had tanks added to the undercarriage area of the plane. And we had 4 very large planes fly wingtip to wingtip across the sky here, only across my estate. They released an aerosol type trail, and the contents of these trails have been analysed by various people, and one of the most important constituents of this aerosol vapour, this so-called chemtrail that comes out of these planes, one of the most important ingredients is barium. Now, what we saw, and there was, by the way, 30 people staying at my house here at the time, and the event was filmed on 5 different video cameras by 5 different people. What we saw is military jets, tiny single-piloted military jets, definitely military jets, weaving in and out of the chemtrail. Now, I'd already seen this phenomenon from video footage which I'd been sent by a viewer of the Enigma channel in 1994, and that event took place in Arizona. There is obviously a clear relationship between the military jets, the large jets that are releasing this chemtrail aerosol, which is mostly barium, and spherical UFOs. And it's fascinating to see so many websites and books and magazine articles being published about chemtrails which refuse to mention that these small spherical UFOs, the exact same small beach ball sized spherical UFOs which we see making crop circles, often appear flying and weaving in and out of the chemtrails of these aerosol military craft. Now, why are those military craft following the tanker planes? It is my conclusion that those military craft are studying these small spherical UFOs, and that the spherical UFOs in turn are studying the chemtrail phenomenon. In 2001, a friend of mine went to the Biggin Hill Air Show and filmed a small spherical UFO flying next to the undercarriage of a Russian tanker plane. Now, at that same show, a news report broadcast by the BBC shows a military jet crashing. Now, when I analysed the footage, there was a very, very small spherical UFO flying in a looping trajectory behind this military jet. And I suspect that this small spherical UFO clipped the tail fin of this jet and caused it to crash.